and they are now teachers. But you find them still at home. They are not being employed. And a way of appreciating education, we need TSC to look at those areas and make sure that they give a priority to the local people when it comes to employment. Our schools have a shortage of teachers, primary schools have a shortage of teachers, and the high schools still have a shortage of teachers. And you find them employing those teachers who have stayed long at home, while we in the community don't have those teachers. Our teachers are just 4 years or 5 years at home. So I would ask the TSC to make sure that they employ the locals so that they can also agree to go to the schools that are in the reserves. Because after employing these teachers who come from far, they come there, they don't want to go to the interior parts of Narok, where they want to be around town, they want to be near the roads, while the other urban areas are suffering. So for me, I find it wise for TSC to look into that issue so that they can employ our teachers who are at home. And again, when I look at the speech, I saw the affordable houses, and I also want to say that these houses should not only be done in towns. They should also we should also have programs in our counties so that we can also have houses that will show dignity to our people and that will give comfort to our people. And in the speech again, there was the issue of CRBs. Our people are farmers, wheat farmers, and so many of them have loans. And because they have been unable to pay the loans, they cannot borrow money so that they can go back to farming. So I was also impressed to show that he was able again to come up with a solution that will make our farmers go back to farming. Thank you.
Thank you, Member for Narok North. Your accomplishments are well known by many women in Kenya. Thank you for that. And I now call Member for Kiambaa constituency.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Speaker and yourself for being elected as the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. I also want to take this opportunity to thank and to congratulate the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, and his able deputy, Dr. Rigathi Gachagua. We are coming into terms of calling him His Excellency the President. We have been used to the term the Deputy President. May I also take this opportunity to appreciate and thank the great people of Kiambaa constituency for electing me again as their Member of Parliament, and also because they had given me a small opportunity of 1 year, and now they have given me another 5-year term so that I can continue to implement and to lead them in as far as the development of our constituency is concerned. Madam Speaker, allow me to discuss further the presidential debate, the presidential speech that His Excellency the President tabled in the floor of the House on matters pertaining the CSs, that they'll be coming to the floor of the House so that we can be able, to discuss and to ask questions to the cabinet secretaries. Madam Speaker, let me say that the 12th Parliament, I had a lot of challenges because the moment you ask some questions and they are given to the committees and waiting for results or waiting for the response, it took a whole year to get a report in terms of loads within my constituency, in terms of the insecurity within my constituency. But now we are going to support the President's agenda to make sure that the cabinet secretaries will be coming to the floor of the House so that they can be asked questions and so that we can be able to get direct answers to take to our people and the issues affecting the people that we represent. That is a milestone, and we are willing to support the president's agenda. Number two, it was the issue of decriminalizing enterprises. That you realize in my constituency we have so many small and medium enterprises. But for a short time, you normally realize that KLA is not friendly. And that's why I think the president has come into terms that we really need to change Kenya Revenue Authority to Kenya Revenue Services, so that those people need to realize that they don't have to criminalize small enterprises, but come up with modalities and ways for people to pay their taxes and to make sure that it is a friendly service that they are offering to the members of this great republic of ours. Number two, he talked about the Hustlers Fund. Madam Speaker, it is in order for us to say that the Wezo Fund that we have been having, the Women Fund that we have been having, the Youth Fund, it has been of great importance to our people. And I realized that when the Hustlers Fund is introduced, and we are going to make sure that we register and implement the Hustlers Fund, we'll be able to empower millions and billions of hustlers who elected us in this 13th Parliament and who formed the basis of our campaign in 2020, this particular year, so that at least we can have a way to make sure they are empowered. Those mama bogas in my village, those wauzaji wa miwa in my constituency, they will have an access to credit so that they can be able to better their lives and so that they can be able to put food for their families and to educate their children. So it is very important, and I'll ask the House, when that time comes to support the bill on Hustlers Fund, we all join hands together without caring which kind of political side you come from, so that we do what we are supposed to do and make sure that we better the lives of our people. Number two, Madam Speaker, the President also mentioned about the NGCDF. And he said it categorically. He was a member of parliament before the CDF. And he was a member of parliament during the CDF. And he knows the importance of National Government Constituency Development Fund. And it is shocking because majority of the people that we have been able to take to school is because of this fund, Madam Speaker. You realize that there are those students who performs very well, but they have no way to enter a classroom door. But because of the National Government Constitutional Development Fund, we have been able to give bursaries to millions and millions of Kenyans. Many students, many children have been able to see the door of a high school or maybe university because of the NGCDF. Therefore, when it comes to that matter, we will all join hands together and support National Government Fund, because it has nothing to do with a member of parliament, but it has everything to do with a Kenyan who is poor, who is at that lower moment. Right now, the messages we have received, people asking us, is it possible for us to get bursary? And yet we are yet to form the committees. And we are waiting to form the committee so that we can continue doing the great work we have been doing. In my constituency, Madam Speaker, we are renovating schools. We are building classrooms. You'll realize in a place like called Kawaida Primary School, you'll find that one classroom is hosting 120 students. And therefore, without NGCDF, there will be no way we can be able to expand these classrooms and to make sure that those students get better education by trying, to increase the classrooms within their schools. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the NGCDF, it is here to stay, and we are going to do all we can to support it, not because of our own interests, but because of the things that we have been able to do within our constituency. Madam Speaker, he also spoke about public-private partnership. You realize that, and he talked about water. In my constituency, in a place called Ruaka, which is very densely populated because of its developments, and many people are constructing apartments within Ruaka, which is within my constituency, that we don't have water. We have been chasing water since I became a member of parliament, with Earthy Water, with Ministry of water, but you realize that we have not been able to achieve because of funding. I believe public-private partnership will come in handy so that it can help us to bring water and to restore our water our baskets within our constituency, and help us also to bring water to help our farmers and the members of our constituency so that we can be able to make their lives easier. So therefore, we are supporting. When that agenda will be brought in the floor of the House, I'll be the first person to support it, because I know even if we are told to pay, we have so many people who can be able to pay the few coins that will be asked by the government, but at least at the end of the day, we'll make sure our homes, we have tap water within our homes. He also spoke about housing projects, and we are willing and ready to support the housing project. The legislative agenda that will be brought in this floor of the House, we are going to support it, because we really need this kind of development and technology, because when we have some villages in my area called Dendero, a place called Kefarage, this is the only way that we can be able to give them a decent home, not by because they have a very small area, but the moment we decide to go vertically and maybe probably give them a decent housing, we'll be able to, improve their lives and give them a better place to take care of their children. Madam Speaker, allow me also to mention something that the President mentioned about the saving culture. He mentioned and he said that from when you are 18 on, when you are employed, to the time that you retire, you only save 200 shillings in every month. And at the end of the whole period that you have been working, you are able to save about 74,000 shillings. I think it is high time that we rethink this model. And he said that in every 2 shillings, that every member of your community, because now we have to regroup our people, especially those people who are in the informal sector, and make sure that they save their 2 shillings, so that the moment they save a 2 shillings, the government will rematch their 2 shillings with the 1 shillings, so that at the end of the month, we can be able to see how much we save, and so that we can also be able to help our people to save more. So therefore, Madam Speaker, I support the President's speech, and we are here to support the President's agenda. And when he brings all these issues for us to register, we promise that we are going to support him fully. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Kirinyaga County, and you'll be followed by member for Mandera East.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I am grateful to be here in this House, and this being my first time, I would like to give my maiden speech. I am Jane Jerry Maina, the County MP, Kirinyaga County. La kwanza ni kuwashukuru wana Kirinyaga kwa heshima walionipa kuniteua kama mbunge wao. I commit to serve diligently for the next 5 years. Well, I believe you were directed to give us leeway to learn.
Member for Kirinyaga, if you start in Kiswahili, according to the standing orders, then you will speak in Swahili for the whole time. But if you start with English, then you will follow through with English. Thank you. For the purposes of the record of the Hansard.
Very well. Admittedly, I profoundly miss breaking into dance with my constituents, from which they gave me an affectionate moniker, quote, Gasheri Gaito. To the young people of this nation, you have a role to play in the socio, political, and economic empowerment of this nation, but you must no longer stay in the shadows. You must step forward and take charge. For power, they say, is taken, it is not given. To my father, tragically taken from me before the elections, before he could see that this child indeed became great, your name shall echo beyond the halls of Parliament. To my family, my best friend Andrew, who was there every day after I lost my father at the height of the campaigns, you are an invaluable addition in my life. Madam Speaker, it would be a disservice if I do not forewarn my colleagues that where I come from, we milk lions while seated on porcupines. Madam Speaker, as pertains the President's speech, it gave hope to a bedridden nation. It was short and succinct. Of great importance was the rollout of the subsidized fertilizer, as my people are farmers. It therefore deeply concerns me that there are some farmers in Moya and across Kirinyaga who are unable to access the fertilizer merely because they do not own land. I implore upon the relevant authority to ensure that all farmers, landlords or not, enjoy the subsidized fertilizer. Moreover, I implore upon the 13th Parliament and the executive to cater for the young people of this nation. We must address the pressing needs of our young people: unemployment, mental health, drug and substance abuse. The future must be secured by all means necessary. I wish to congratulate the President and his deputy for having shown the goodwill to engage, mentor, and consult young leaders, culminating to the signing of the Youth Charter. I assure them that the young people will hold them accountable to their promises. I further want to thank the President for taking the bold step to ensure that we no longer have subsidies. It would have been the easy way, having come from campaigns where we promised our people that we will lower the cost of living. Madam Speaker, lastly, I want to give thanks to Almighty God for seeing it fit to have me in this house. I will commit to serve diligently, and I pray that my colleagues in the 5 years, you're able to ensure that as new members are able to learn from you who have walked before us. May God bless the 13th Parliament. May God bless this nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Member for Kirinyaga County. That was brief and concise, and in fact donated 5 minutes. I think she needs an applause for that. And also a very amazing speech. Now it's time for Member for Mandera East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. May I take this opportunity first and foremost to thank the people of Mandera East for electing me and having faith in me. I thank the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me health and this opportunity to be in this August House. May I take also this opportunity to congratulate you and the Speaker of this Honorable House. I come from the farthest place from these parliamentary premises, and that is Mandera. I come from border point 1, where Kenya's first beacon is. Mandera has a lot of problems, including insecurity, poor roads, and lack of essential commodities. This is a place where we lost 2 senior chiefs and 2 assistant chiefs within a span of few months through terror activities. 2 chiefs were killed in Arabia Mandera Road. The 2 senior chiefs of Arabia and Umar Jilo were killed by Al-Shabaab just few months before the election. And their 2 assistant chiefs were also killed just few months before the election also. This is as a result of the poor roads in Mandera. In 21st century, we have no tarmac road in Mandera East other than Mandera town, which was really started after devolution. That has really eased and helped the terror team to plant IEDs on the road. When we were campaigning, we could not move freely for fear of these IEDs. You can be easily blown anytime. Sometimes we were forced to use helicopters to campaign within our constituency. I therefore request this Honorable House to assist us in pushing the government to tarmac the roads from Lefe, Arabia, Mandera Road, and the road Ramu, Mandera, and the road from Ramu, Kalalio, Mandera Road, the quickest possible, because one life is more expensive than billions of shillings that can be used, you know, to build those roads. In Mandera, we normally have KBRs, that is Kenya Police Reserves, and MPRs, National Police Reserves, who normally man our borders in addition to our gallant forces. These KBRs and MPRs are extremely poorly paid, the tune of 10,000 shillings. You can imagine a KBR or an MPR. Maybe you may not know the difference between KBR and MPRs, but people from the borders like Turkana know very well. The KBRs are the locally employed by the counties, and MPRs are employed by the national government. That is our national security. But if you investigate and maybe get to know the amount of money that is paid to those people, you will be shocked. Those people normally lose their lives following these terror activities. Just recent days, we lost 8 of our gallant KBRs without compensation and getting maybe 10,000 shillings. And their families are now living in poverty, abject poverty. I want to appeal to the government to take this matter very seriously and pay these people at least, you know, to the tune of the other Kenya police and other forces, so that they can be motivated and do the job very well. They understand all the routes and they understand the area very well, and they can do better than the other forces, only if they are paid well. In Mandera, we lack basic needs, including food, shelter, and clothing. Food in the sense that people live, other than few percentage that have the middle level and maybe few that have been, you know, very successful in business, others live in abject poverty, most of them. And they live through the relief foods and cash transfers that are now given by the NGOs. We really thank World Food Program and USAID for helping our people through cash transfers and water tracking. We have a problem of shelter because during rainy seasons and even other times, our people live in huts, or horios as we call it. We want the government to help us build houses for these people, low-cost houses. They normally concentrate, the housing ministry concentrate on, you know, the headquarters, I mean the city and other maybe high-range areas, and not the county level or the constituency level. We want this translated to the local people so that our people can now graduate from the huts to permanent buildings. The other issue is water. Our people normally live with boreholes that are salty and not treated. And I'm sure this has led to so many of them having cancers, because the salty water, you know, may not be fit for human consumption. But they have to, because they have no otherwise. They have no any other way to live other than using that salty water. We want the government to use experts all over the world to make sure that fresh water is provided for the people of Mandera East and the entire Mandera County. Unemployment is also extremely very high in Mandera East and Mandera County in general. Other than few employment opportunities provided by the county government and few in the national government, most of the graduates live in abject poverty. We want the government to give us opportunities and provide employment for our people. Somalis, normally, who are the majority in Mandera, are very aggressive people in business. If at all you can provide funds, they can easily extend and start business and even provide work opportunities or employment opportunities for other Kenyans, which they are already doing. Few of them are already doing, because other Kenyans from down Kenya are now moving to Mandera to seek for employment. So we expect the government to provide free interest loans to the people of Mandera, because for me, I can't take money with even less than 0.0% interest because of my religion. So I expect the government to provide free money, free interest loans. I also request this parliament to consider providing free interest loans mortgage for parliamentarians, because I can't take right now the mortgage you guys are taking. I can't take personally because of my religious. We have river Dawa in Mandera, and imagine our people are crying of water. River Dawa. The areas that are a bit far from Mandera, I mean from the river, don't have water. If at all the government can bump in some money and
Member for Mandera East, I thought you were going to pick the cue from the record of the brevity and impact of the speech of the member from Kirinyaga County. I think she only matches the president's speech at this rate. If I knew that anyone else was going to meet that record, then probably you'd get priority. I think now is the member for Wajir County.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to congratulate you and the Speaker for your recent election. My name is Fatuma Jeho from Wajir County. Madam Speaker, I want to make my maiden speech, and I would like to dedicate it to the women of Kenya and the mothers of Wajir. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the good people of Wajir County for their overwhelming support and giving me this opportunity to serve them in 13th Parliament. I do not take their trust and confidence for granted. As such, I will endeavor to champion for their rights, to their voice, to bring unity, equity, equality, transparency, accountability, ensure peaceful coexistence among ourselves across Kenya and beyond our borders. Madam Speaker, today as I stand here, I am sure the good people of Wajir County are fixated on their TVs or phones to watch their daughter, how their daughter is going to participate in the first sitting and going forward. I assure them that as humanly possible, I will serve them diligently and the county with the last ounce of courage, strength, and blood left in my body. Madam Speaker, I am here for a reason, and it's an interesting story. Today, I want to tell you about pressing social issues. It's not about climate change. It's not about our path to attaining nuclear energy or power. It's not about party politics. Rather, I would like to talk about us, our respective roles and responsibilities, as well as we all fulfill our campaign manifesto. Honorable members, we must deliver our mandate to the millions of Kenyans who entrusted us and give them hope, reassure them that bei ya unga na mafuta itashuka. It's about time, as the 13th members of this noble house, to rise to the occasion, work together in a bid to attain unity, equity, equality, transparency, accountability, and bring progressive-oriented programs to our communities that we represent. Why do I tell you this? Because my objective is to highlight the plight of our mothers, single mothers, widows, our sisters and daughters, some who were raised as orphans and taking care of orphans right now. Some of us were lucky to be brought up by single mothers who are strong, hardworking, and resilient. To all our mothers, I can't thank you enough. In Wajir County, Madam Speaker, majority of our breadwinners for their respective families are our mothers, who toil day and night to ensure that our children have something on their table. They pay keen interest on their progress in school and madrasas. They are giving their all to make sure our children are happy. And I'm sure that is what an ordinary mother in Kenya does. Despite the trials and tribulations that our mothers, that is my mother, these are our mothers, and they all represent the women of this country. Today, as I stand here, my story is a testament and to inspire all orphans, single mothers, widows who are currently struggling with their daily activities. Today, the young orphan from Bula Jogo in Wajir East is all grown up, fought all odds to be here. It was not easy, Madam Speaker. This is by the grace of Allah and the sheer hard work of our mothers. I encourage them to never give up. Your efforts and patience shall yield fruits. My prayers and best wishes are with you. Owing to the above, I challenge this House to wipe the tears of pain our mothers have endured over the years, and let us work together to bring joy, prosperity through women, youth, and persons with disability empowerment and actions, or policies to cushion them during these trying times, necessitated by the ongoing drought and inflation that has resulted to the skyrocketing of basic daily commodities. As such, as a matter of priority, we should be deeply concerned about these vulnerable Kenyans. We work on how we can reduce taxes and prices of day-to-day assorted food, item and fuel price. My fellow honorable members, we should ask ourselves, are we a gift to this world and our respective constituents or burden? I strongly believe that we are a gift. As such, we should also pay attention to malnutrition status, GBV status of women empowerment, and their rights, among others. Madam Speaker and my fellow honorable members, allow me to update you on the current overview of drought, situation of Wajir, and this is where I come and ask our president, just like the Hustler Fund, we would like him to consider drought fund. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, arid and semi-arid areas of this country are currently facing severe drought. As pastoralists, we are going through difficult times. Scarcity of water due to ongoing drought has greatly affected our livestock production and markets. This is our source of livelihood. As a result, scarcity of milk has also affected our children due to increased cases of malnutrition. Madam Speaker, the recent data we have, Wajir County government in the latest drought reports indicates that the county is currently at alarm and on worsening trend. Wajir County received depressed rains in 4 consecutive seasons, and the 5th one is likely to fail. On health and nutrition, Madam Speaker, increased cases of malnourished children 6 months to 59 months, with the number of malnourished children requiring treatment rising from 62,283 in February 2022 to 80,968 in June this year. There are outbreaks of opportunistic infection related to drought, such as Kalaza. It has so far killed more than 477 as we speak. Madam Speaker, the issue of water is a problem in Wajir. Madam Speaker, the water source in the county includes boreholes, shallow wells, and water pans. The current water condition is below normal compared to previous 4 seasons, increased distances to water source of both human and livestock. Madam Speaker, education is not even for us. We hear education when you come here. Where I come from, education people think is not a priority. Madam Speaker, and my fellow honorable members, low pupil admission, especially for early learners. Migration has increased absenteeism and school dropouts as pastoralist parents shift with their children to areas with better pastures and water. Madam Speaker, security is a problem from where I come from. Just like my brother from Mandera East said, a day to election, we were also burying more than 4 people from Wajir West, a place called Hadado. Madam Speaker, we will ask the government to help us to bring sanity along Wajir-Isiolo border. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I finally, I honestly implore the relevant ministries to scale up their short and long-term interventions and cushion all the vulnerable Kenyans during these trying times. May God bless Wajir. May God bless this house and all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, member. Now I call upon the member for Kajiado North constituency.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I also take this chance to congratulate you and even the Speaker on your election. I wish to begin by thanking the Almighty God for giving me an opportunity to serve in this 13th Parliament, and thank the great people of Kajiado North for electing me on the 9th of August. Not only electing me, but also upgrading me from an MCA to a member of Parliament after serving them for 2 terms. The real meaning of bottom up. Madam Speaker, I sit in the shoes of the great member of Parliament, the first member of Parliament, Olo Itip-Tip, the late John Keane, member of Parliament for Kajiado North, the late Philip Odupoi, member of Parliament, Kajiado North, and of course, the gentleman who said there comes a time that the nation is more important than individual, the great Professor George Saitoti. And I'm humbled and honored to serve in this assembly. And I can only assure the great voters and also this Parliament that I will give my best with the help of God. Madam Speaker, on the presidential speech, first of all, I want to to congratulate His Excellency the President for being elected the President, and because it is only God who made him President and the people of Kenya. I want to say he comes in at a very defining time. And Mr. Speaker, desperate times also call for desperate measures and also outstanding leaders. When you read a book by Lee Kuan Yew, From Third World to First World, you see a leader who comes in at a time when Singapore was about to sink and get back to be joined with Malaysia. But they put in measures to make sure that the country stands out. And once you look at the current Singapore today, it remains to be a country that has made steps towards becoming what it is today because of decisions that have been made by a leader and great leaders that have served the country. So, Madam Speaker, the President, William Samoei Ruto, made a short and very sweet speech, just like Sauti Sol would sing, short and sweet. But on the issues, there are several issues that were raised. One, on the issue of transparency. Madam Speaker, you realize that Westminster Parliament, it is what it is because of the Prime Minister's hour, where you're able to query government on issues that you may want to. And the nature of Parliament is that you get answers on the floor of the House, and you raise issues on the floor of the House. And this Parliament was once very alive when CSAs by then ministers would come to this House. And therefore having an opportunity, and the President intending to have his CSAs answer to this Parliament is such a great honor and a trust that is given to this House. And not only that, he wants to address the issue of transparency that is leading government, and he wants to be put on check. Madam Speaker, nothing would be greater than that, especially at such times when you hear decisions were made in the last government that are not appropriate, that have put this country into great issues that we are dealing with at present. Number two, on the issue of environment, the President is very clear that he wants to do something on environment, this being a global issue, and also an issue that some of us are sensitive to that believe in environment. Madam Speaker, as an environmental impact assessment analyst, you want to look at your environment, and they say nature is very unforgiving. And Wangari Maathai said, if you don't take care of nature, nature also doesn't take care of you. And therefore, on issues of environment, these are some of the issues that as a member of Parliament, I would want to see my government do at a time when I am serving. On the issue of CDF, I think doesn't need more emphasis. That Constituency Development Fund has had its impact, and more so National Government Constituency Development Fund. And like he said, is that he believes it can work. I also believe it can work, not undermining the Constitution and the current state of the courts as they had declared. On the issue of affordable housing, Madam Speaker, the best example that every one of us should look at is what Singapore has done. 85% of Singaporeans own houses. It became part of why their GDP, part of the reasons why their GDP grew, but most importantly, the affordable housing provided for the Singaporeans an opportunity for all of them to be able to own houses, and therefore, part of what they call decency, giving people homes, it is the government that has provided them with the same. And when you see the last Prime Minister, the first Prime Minister there, and even the current, you see efforts towards making affordable housing a reality to everyone. Madam Speaker, as I wind up on the issue of universal health care, having worked in the county government and worked for the county government as a member of county assembly, there is nothing that has affected our society as the issue of health. Why county governments can't manage health is because some of the issues that are being handled by counties cannot be handled by county alone. NHIF, we did a pilot program with Kajiado County, and His Excellency the Deputy President then was one of our guests, and we tried to have every home have the NHIF card. It did amazing. But just imagine what it will do when everyone is treated using the NHIF card. I think this is one of the issues that I would personally want to see achieve in my time in this Parliament. Because universal health care It's affecting all of us. We're in either one group or another group because of health. And I'm sure with the right linkage, we are able to leverage on universal health care. Madam Speaker, following the footsteps that you have advised, I do not want to belabor my point. The people of Kajiado North believed in me to be here, and I want to say that I'm grateful to my colleagues who are here also. I'm looking forward for engagements, fruitful engagements, and also constructive engagement. I believe in learning, and I believe learning begins when you decide you want to learn. God bless you all, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Member for Bahati constituency.
Not lighting. Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this great opportunity as a first-timer. Let me start by congratulating our Excellency, the President, our Deputy President, for being elected. I will also not forget to congratulate the Speaker and yourself as the Deputy Speaker and as a woman, and for me, I am very proud when women are in power. I'll also not forget to say congratulations to members of Parliament and also congratulate all the elected and nominated members. Thank you, Bahati people, for believing in me and for electing me to represent them in this House. I know I promised to ensure that I deliver in education sector, road sector, security, and many other. I will start by saying that the speech that was given by our Excellency quite resonates with the people of Bahati. And mine is to urge the current government to ensure, as they review the CBC curriculum, it is my humble request that they also look at feeding program. We know, and as we were campaigning, I have been going through and seeing how children have been suffering in terms of food, and some of them were missing out to go to school because of the feeding program. I also want to say that I come from Nakuru, and as a member of Parliament, I am one of those girls who had been chosen as Nakuru girls. Our road network, I want to emphasize to them that they have to ensure that they hasten the process or the PPP project of Mount Summit Road. We know many have had nightmares on sleeping on that road because of the heavy traffic. Just a key highlight on the address, I will pick and say that I came to this House and decided to represent the Bahati people because we don't have water. And I will say and urge them and encourage them to continue taking up the PPP projects or the water purchase agreements, because that is the savior of many. We know many have been saying that we have a food shortage, but you can imagine if you have water, what will happen even to the other semi-arid areas. On universal health coverage, I want to congratulate them, and I want to tell them that let it not be the usual way that we keep on saying that we are taking up universal health coverage. Let it be or let it be implemented in this new government, because it is going to save many, and we have seen many have been saved, especially those who have chronic diseases. We want to also encourage and congratulate them for coming up with the Hustler Fund. And we want to say, let them encourage and have an enabling environment where our micro and small or medium traders will be able to access. We have seen success in Gekomba, where traders have been borrowing from banks in the morning and at least refunding in the evening, and they are able to make at least something out of that amount. We also want to say that thank you for also talking about a friendly tax system. We know very well that many have suffered in the hands of KRA, and we want to encourage that we tell KRA, please give our traders an environment where they can be able to trade instead of killing the businesses that have been created. So mine is to also say that thank you also for coming up and for bringing the fertilizer prices down. But we also would urge that even as the new minister gets into office, having been one of those members who comes from Bahati, where it is basically, or we rely on agriculture, I would ask him to ensure that he brings back AFC loans, cooperatives. I personally have been brought up by a farmer who used to do dairy farming, and I want to encourage the minister to ensure that AFC loans are back. In a nutshell, I want to say that the speech of the president quite resonated with the people of Bahati, and I want to thank them for electing me despite the stiff competition that they chose. They will wear the yellow suit, but they decided the tie will be red, and that is why I am in this house. Thank you, and God bless the people of Bahati. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Ndiwa constituency will be followed by member of Dagoretti North.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity you have given me, and first of all, let me say thank you to God Almighty for the grace and mercies that we are all here together. Also, I want to congratulate you and the Speaker for your election, and I want also to congratulate all members. To the Ndiwa people, thank you very much for re-electing me, and I want to say that I will not let you down in this second term. There are projects which we did not finish, like AMTC, Raila Molo Odinga, College for Agriculture, Gor Mahia Ring Road, South Kabwas TTI, and Nyokal. By God's grace, I pray that this will come to fruition. Madam Speaker, the President's speech was very short, precise, but loaded. And I thank him for that. He talked about unifying Kenyans, and he can't do it alone, members. We too must, by the language we speak here, how we speak it, and to who. Madam, I just restrained myself, Madam Speaker, I restrained myself when a member of Nyaribari was lashing out of the people of Nyanza without even knowing what happened. We should respect each other. You should have even asked me, why didn't you attend? I would have told him. Because we know better, and we are planning well to meet the President on development issue. From where I sit or I stand, the objective of debating the presidential speech is to enrich it so that when he retreats to write a framework for policy and regulation, he can add what have come from the House. So I have a few points to add, Madam Speaker. One of them is, and I was happy to hear this, he said, my administration will be fair, just, impartial, and transparent. I wish all of us in this House can also adapt that so that we can help the President, that we can also be fair. That's why, Madam Speaker, even the majority in this House should be Asimiu. On a serious note, remember us on that. I hope the Speaker will make a good ruling. Point 2, domestic saving. Madam Speaker, it's very hard to save, especially where the basic necessities are not met in a family situation. In Dewa, there are some people, household, who do not even know where 100 Kenya shillings will come from. So this is a good thing to do, and I thank the President that in 2 shillings he can add 1. But there are some things that we can ask the Presidency to do so that people can save, especially the informal sector. Number 1, the food security. Tuition. In schools, there's a revolving door. Kids go in, come out, because there's no school fee. We should also look into medicine, poverty, because people are living under $1 a day. Another member said here. Madam Speaker, in terms of austerity, I congratulate the President. Many economies have been stabilized by budget cuts. It works. But, Madam Speaker, it doesn't work alone. I urge the Presidency to look also in the corruption. In the past regime, or past administration, 720 billion went to theft per year, 2 billion per day. So even if we look at the budget cut of 300 billion, we are not still going to manage the economy. Let us address, and it's not the President alone, even in this House, when the budget comes, when we do oversight, let's be tough on the implementers. The national debt, Madam Speaker, we need to have a national conversation on this, because most of the debt went to infrastructure, but it was not equitable across the country. For example, a farmer in Ndewa cannot ferry their farm produce to market because there are no roads, and yet they are paying the same debt. So even if we reduce our debt by not borrowing, then we should also have an alternative from local revenues to channel funds to those areas which have got no roads and other infrastructure. Madam Speaker, the President talked about CS coming here. It's a good idea. We had it in a parliamentary system. But when we adopted the presidential system, it ceased, because most of the work are done in the committees. So, Madam Speaker, even if we think of changing the standing order, we might look into changing the whole or amending the Constitution. The reason is we have over 40 committees. It cannot be implemented in the House, where each committee wants their questions answered. How will it work? Would you bring all the CS here on one day, and how many days? But in presidential system, the committees works best because it's a smaller, and there are many. Even 10 can meet in a day, and you call all those CSs. So even as we embrace it, that it will be effective, we need to look also at the logistics of implementing it. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I want to talk passionately about health. as a public specialist, public health specialist, I feel pained when the health of our people, diseases, simple diseases, are driving families to poverty. They are preventable. Some you can achieve by promoting health itself through UHC. Madam Speaker, this UHC have been talked in Kenya for a long time. But when we went to Malaysia, the same books that we developed here has made the Malaysian healthcare system robust as an example in the whole world. So I want to suggest to the presidency, one, UHC is different from PHC because UHC looks at the promotion of health, prevention, treatment, rehabilitation, and palliative care. But PHC is looking beyond medical. For example, if you have a very well-equipped health facility somewhere, and there is no road to go to it, our women still die on the road. Or there is no light, and women come to deliver. You cannot as a health practitioner. So we have to combine these two and fund it well. And Madam Speaker, I thank the President for this because he said he's going to invest in the primary health care. That will save Kenyans a lot of money. In closing, honorable members, in 2010 Constitution, the ballgame of politics in this country changed. There's no longer opposition politics. It's not there. We only have a government. And this government have three arms. One of them is ours, legislative arm, whose responsibility is to oversight the executive and the other arms. So let us take our role. It does not mean we don't like the government, but we have to keep them in check and make sure they implement what we prove here in the budget. Thank you, and may God thank the people of Ntewa as well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Dagoretti North, after which we shall have Member for Moiben constituency, then Member for Nyali, and thereafter Member for Langata constituency. As we go ahead, and we shall still have plenty of time.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would wish first to thank the Almighty God, and indeed to thank the people of Dagoretti North for giving me the privilege to serve them in this 13th Parliament, and also to thank you for being bold to stand and be our Deputy Speaker, bringing back the memories of our sister, the late Joyce Laboso. We want to say thank you for that. I want to thank our Speaker, Papawa Roma Wetangula, for also getting that opportunity to serve this 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, having said that, I think one of the things I'll start with is to appreciate that Nairobi is a very unique county. A county that serves in nearly 7 million people, 4 million who come in the morning and go within the environs of the metropolitan that we have. But indeed, those who remain in Nairobi are Nairobians, and they deserve better. They deserve to be given services like any other county. Madam Speaker, when you look at Nairobi today, we are talking about drought, we are talking about famine, and I think, Madam Speaker, one of the things we need to say is that in Nairobi, we have many families today who are sleeping hungry. We have children who are unable to go to school because of lack of school fees, some of them lack of food. But I want to really thank our leader from Dagoretti South, the Honorable KJ, for bringing in a program, a feeding program, the Honorable of Nyali, and all those honorable members who are feeding their children within their constituencies, giving us a role model that we are going to really embark on and see how this House can also amend the CDF Act or come up with a policy to ensure each constituency is able to give lunch to their children. Madam Speaker, coming to the speech of His Excellency the President, I think one of the things I want to say is that yes, indeed, it was a short speech, but when you look at the 52 paragraphs, I think he has outlined within his policies, and more importantly, food security, which is in agriculture. He has outlined education. He has outlined the SMEs within trade. He has outlined health, which is important on NHIF. He has outlined the issues of youth and especially women. And for me today, I just want to speak among a few things. One, first to congratulate our teachers as they celebrate their day today, but also to appreciate the President's will in terms of bringing in now the task force, and to request that we need to relook at everything and to ensure our children who go to public schools do not become guinea pigs to be used to be testing education in this country. That we are able as Kenya, that is within the East Africa, to look at the education that we have and ensure there's universal education where a child from Kenya can go to Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and have the same opportunity the way these other children have. But that doesn't mean also we need to scrap completely CBC, because also CBC brings in back the intention of a parent taking also advantage in the growth of the child. And so if I am asked my opinion, standard from nursery to standard 3, we agree CBC has to be there. 4 going up, we give our children the universal education that is there for them to enjoy the way every other Kenyan and every Tanzanian and every Ugandan is enjoying education. Madam Speaker, looking at the debt, I stand with the President on this, and I think it's important to look also at different proposals and to say that we have natural resources. This House has to first look at the loans that we have taken, ask ourselves, we might find ourselves with the loans that we took, but we have not started using, maybe because of even the guidelines we were given. Those are loans we can agree as a country to return. We can also now ask ourselves, through our natural resources, is there a way, and government has its own natural resources, that we can tap on some to ensure we are able to pay the debt, and then we now start a new formula in Kenya to taking care of ourselves and not really relying on borrowing as we continue to do. And as we continue to support the President in looking for the 300 billion. But remember also we have Kenyans who are looking upon us, who we have their pending bills, monies that they used, monies that they took from banks, and we have to also ask ourselves, how are we ensuring these Kenyans are paid their resources and they are able to also pay the banks that they had gone for their loans. Madam Speaker, we need to also ask ourselves as this House, how are we going to assist Kenyans who come from the airport? You arrive at the airport, Madam Speaker, and the taxman is there waiting for you. You are carrying one laptop, and the taxman is telling you it is above $500, and therefore you must pay tax. I think those are some of the barriers that have made Kenyans go really below, and we must come out with a solution that if a Kenyan is coming back to her country and is carrying his goods or her goods and they are not for sale, then indeed they should pass at the airport and even get that hospitality of being welcomed back home, instead of them now finding ways of, you find somebody in Europe, you're about to remove everything from the boxes just because you'll come at the airport and they will censor that you're carrying a new stuff for you to pass. So, Madam Speaker, this House has a way, an opportunity to just reverse some of the barriers that were done with the previous administration. I think it will help many Kenyans, especially those who have gone, students and all that, who come back in this country. Madam Speaker, when we look at health, I think it is for all of us, and we know very well that indeed NHIF is going to really support many of our our families, many of those who are unable to afford. And every honorable member who is here, I know in your phone, at every minute you have a patient in Kenyatta, in Moi Eldoret, everywhere. And each of them are just requesting one thing: assist us to clear this bill, assist us to do this. In Nairobi, we are even more vulnerable because, Madam Speaker, you find every time we have different burials and funerals, and these are our people, and we must stand with them. But we must look of solutions of how to really ensure that families are able to afford. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to say that when I look at what the President has requested this House, he has really requested, number one, he has not told us that we bend our rules and not fight corruption. I think he's very clear on what we are supposed to do in corruption. But I always say this is a culture that has eaten all of us. We blame each other, but all of us have something in our closets that we need to ask ourselves, how are we changing that before even we look forward? Madam Speaker, I want to thank him also for the team that he has given us, and to thank indeed the different CSs who I appreciate. I've worked with them when we were honorable senators and honorable members. I really want to thank him for giving Senator Murkomen that opportunity, Senator Professor Kithure Kindiki, Honorable Soipan. I think these are people we will stand with. These are people we've worked a journey since 2013, and we know. My chair and my mentor, Honorable Alice Wahome, who I worked as a CEO when she was my chair, and I think these are people who will understand the politics that are there. And I think what Kenyans want to see us do is to see us change the style on how we do things and appreciate that they have moved on. And I want us to move on and start changing lives of people. Madam Speaker, lastly, I want to talk about the Presidential Music Academy. This is an academy that has been helping many of our children in talent. And I think it is for this House to see, and I really want to plea with the President that it will remain at the Cabinet so that we are able to see many other young talents. These are the children you find during Mashujaa Day, Madaraka Day, but
Member for Moiben constituency.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and the Speaker as well for being elected to serve in this 13th Parliament. I'm sure the members believed in you, and we believe that you are going to take this House, this 13th House, to the greatest heights. I want also to take this opportunity to thank the people of Moiben for giving me an opportunity to serve them as a member of Parliament for the first time. I want to appreciate the people of Karona Meibeki, the people of Moiben, the people of Tembelio, the people of Kimumu, the people of Sergoit, all who belong to the entire Moiben. Those are the wards which form Moiben constituency. I believe I'm up to task and I'm going to serve them diligently. I want to pay tribute to my predecessors, particularly the women who have been elected to serve in Moiben. I want to start with Honorable Chelagat Mutai, posthumously, and also Honorable Professor Kamar, who have given service to the people of Moiben. And Moiben is very interesting. it sets a very high bar for women. It is almost becoming that for you to qualify as a member of parliament for Moibin, you must be a professor. And I hope that they also set the same for our male counterparts. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the women who prayed for me, who tied the traditional Kalenjin legatio. For the entire season, I was campaigning. I want to thank the men, the old men particularly, who gave me the traditional saliva as a blessing. I want to thank the young children who gave me the long string of saliva, that one which is unending, as a blessing as they cheered me during the campaign season. I am telling them that I'm going to serve them and serve them very well. I want to take this opportunity to make a comment on the President's speech. I want to congratulate Dr. William Samoei Ruto and his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, for their election to serve Kenya. I want to say that when the President made his speech, he told us, or he gave us the scenario as at now in the country, that we are carrying a burden. He gave a very sad situation. But what is very interesting is that his speech was full of hope. He did not behave like now we want to close shop in Kenya and go elsewhere. But he promised that in as much as the situation is as it is, there is still hope and we can still take Kenya to the next level. He touched on so many issues: electricity, water, health, education, and so on. Things which are very key and very dear to Kenyans, not particularly to my people of Moibin. For example, agriculture. Moibin used to be the agricultural basket of Kenya. People of Moibin plant wheat, maize, they keep cows, and it used to be their cash crop. They used to be doing very well. But unfortunately, these days, or today, we are having a sad situation in Moibin. I was a product of maize and milk. That is how I managed to go to school. But now, the farmers in Moibin can hardly even pay for fare to go and buy fertilizer in Eldoret town. So the situation is very sad. And I can see the President vividly captured that in his speech. We already started receiving the low-hanging fruits. That is the subsidized fertilizer. We are hoping that come January, February, March, when it is the major planting season for the people of Moibin, we shall have sufficient fertilizer. He also touched on education. In as much as now we have a task force to look at the CBC, which has become a talk in every home state. In the social media, we have all stories about what is happening in schools, which I don't think is true, like a situation where it was said that teachers were telling children to bring chicken already there are people working on the future of CBC. I would also encourage that we look further, not to the primary education, but we also go further and deal with education in totality. We have our Kenyan institutions of higher learning. They are grappling with debt issues. When a country's institutions of when institutions of higher learning are having issues, and that is where ranking, international ranking is done, then it becomes problematic. When we have no credibility in our institutions of higher learning, then education in Kenya will be questioned. And when the education of a country is questioned by the international world, I think it will not be in very good taste. I also agree that this is the time we are going to implement the universal health care. Madam Speaker, in Moiben, in our hospitals, we have so many bills. We have so many patients who have been held in hospitals. We have bodies in mortuaries. People cannot bury their people because they cannot afford. The poverty index is so bad. And with the promise, with the agenda the President has set, I think what we are required as legislators is to support the President. He promised that his administration will be fair, and he hopes that we will have to legislate issues which should not bring, which could be bottlenecks to this very great agenda. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity, and let me also use the chance to thank again the people of Moiben. Thank you very much.
Member for Nyali.
Shukran sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia fursa hii. Ningelipenda kwanza kutangulia kwa kutoa shukrani zangu zote za dhati kwa Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kuweza kunipatia fursa ya siku ya leo, na vile vile kuweza kutoa shukrani zangu kwa wakaazi wa Nyali kwa kunichagua kwa mara ya pili, licha ya changamoto ambazo tuliweza kupitia wakati wa uchaguzi mkuu uliopita, wakati ambapo asasi za usalama, hususan viongozi wa asasi za usalama, walitumika sana vibaya katika kaunti ya Mombasa kujaribu kubadilisha maamuzi ya wakazi wa kaunti hiyo. Nataka kusema ushindi huu ni ushindi mara tatu kwangu binafsi. Ushindi wa kwanza ni ushindi wa kuchaguliwa kama mbunge wa UDA peke yake katika kaunti ya Mombasa. Ushindi wa pili ni kwa mara ya kwanza katika historia ya Kenya kwa wana Mombasa kuweza kutoa 44% na kumchagua rais wa wananchi William Samoei Ruto. Na ushindi wa tatu ni ushindi wa rais kuregeshea watu wa Pwani bandari ya Pwani. Nikirejelea katika hotuba ya rais, ni kwamba katika hotuba yake, kilele cha hotuba yake ilikuwa ni masuala ya uchumi, na ambayo imekuwa ni donda sugu tangu serikali iliyokuwa mamlakani kuondoka na serikali ya sasa ya wananchi ambayo inataka kutatua masuala ya uchumi, kuipatia kipaumbele na kuhakikisha kwamba bei ya bidhaa hususan chakula zitaweza kutafutiwa mbinu mahsusi na kuweza kuzirejesha katika hali yake ya zamani. Rais aligusia masuala ya deni, ushuru, uwekezaji na kutoa mfano si katika bunge la taifa peke yake bali hata hapo nje katika shughuli zake za ujenzi wa taifa, na kusema ya kwamba angelipenda kuona nchi hii ikiekeza ili Wakenya wasiweze tena kuenda kuomba pesa nje. Tuwe tunafuata mfano kama nchi ya Uchina, ambapo serikali ya Uchina inakopa katika asasi za serikali ndani ya taifa hilo. Pia rais aliweza kuzungumzia bunge la kazi. Alitaka bunge hili lishirikiane na serikali kuu ili tuweze kuleta mabadiliko kwa mpigo na kuweza kuwahudumia wananchi wa Kenya, hususan baada ya kupewa taifa lililobakwa, demokrasia kuharibiwa, mali kuvujwa, na waliofanya hivyo kuondoka kama wamemwachia rais nchi uchi. Vile ambavyo amewachiwa nchi hii kwa hakika ni vile ambapo hayati Emilio Mwai Kibaki aliweza kuachiwa nchi hapo awali kabla ya kuwaomba Wakenya na kuwaambia wampe muda ili aweze kuboresha uchumi wa taifa hili, na alipopewa bila shaka aliweza kufanya hivyo. Rais William Ruto amejipata katika mwanya huo huo, lakini kutokana na utendakazi wake, bidii, kutolala, kutopumzika, ameweza kuonyesha ishara tosha ya kwamba anaweza kuleta mabadiliko ya haraka na kukwamua taifa hili. Kuna baadhi ya wabunge wameweza kuzungumzia hotuba ya rais na kusema ya kwamba hakuweza kutaja masuala ya ufisadi. Tunataka kuwakumbusha ya kwamba hatuna wakati wa kutaja ufisadi kwa sababu tunajua wafisadi ni kina nani, na kazi ya rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ni kuhakikisha kwamba wale wote waliovuja pesa za wananchi wataweza kushughulikiwa na kuhakikisha kwamba pesa hizo zimerejeshwa kwa wananchi wa Kenya. Pia ningelipenda kuzungumzia masuala ya Hustlers Fund, ile kitita ya pesa ambayo iliwekwa. Ni jambo ambalo amekuwa akitembea nchi nzima na kulizungumzia, na ninaona ni jambo ambalo pia litaweza kufikia kina mama zetu wale wa mboga, watu wa bodaboda, watu wa mkokoteni, ili kuweza kuwasaidia, kwa sababu ile ya CDF haitoshi na ina mipaka ya vile ambavyo tutaweza kutumia pesa hizo. Pia hotuba yake iligusia masuala ya mawaziri kuweza kufika katika bunge hili la taifa na kuweza kuulizwa na wabunge ambao ni wawakilishi wa wananchi masuala nyeti kuhusiana na sehemu zao. Ni wazo nzuri zaidi, na mapendekezo hayo ya kuweza kubadilisha na kuhakikisha ya kwamba hawa mawaziri wamefika itakuwa jambo la muhimu sana, kwa sababu ikilinganishwa na bunge la 12 wabunge walikuwa wa mawaziri kumradhi walikuwa wanajipiga kifua sana na kujiona kama miungu binadamu. Hawawezi ulizwa maswali wakati ambapo wanafanya makosa au wakati ambapo kuna dhulma katika taifa hili. Tunataka hadhi na heshima ya bunge hii irejee kama zamani ili tuweze kuuliza maswali. Pia swala la CDF ni swala ambalo limekuwa likizungumziwa, na tuna hakika ya kwamba umuhimu wa CDF, mimi kama mbunge wa Nyali nimerudi hapa katika bunge hili kwa sababu ya utumizi bora wa pesa za CDF. Kuna hata magavana wako na mabilioni ya pesa, lakini yale ambao wabunge wanafanya ni makubwa hata kushinda yale ambao hao magavana wanafanya. Pia pendekezo la kutoa pesa kwa seneti, bunge la seneti, ambalo pia ni jambo nzuri zaidi ili waweze kupata nguvu ya kuweza kusimamia na kuchunguza utumizi wa fedha katika kaunti mbalimbali. Mwisho nataka pia kusema ya kwamba masuala ya makazi aliyozungumzia ni masuala bora zaidi, na bei ambayo imetolewa ni bei ambayo hakika mwananchi ataweza kulipa, na katika kipindi cha miaka fulani ataweza kuwa na nyumba na sio kuishi katika mabanda kama mkimbizi wa ndani kwa ndani. Hatimaye ujumbe kwa wabunge wenzangu na wananchi pale nje wanaosubiri kwa hamu na gamu kuona yale ambayo rais ataweza kufanya. Nataka kuwaambia hivi ya kwamba mtoto hazaliwi akaanza kula chapati. Mtoto anazaliwa, ananyonya, anatambaa, anatembea, kisha anaanza kukula. Kwa hivyo tuko katika hiyo sehemu ambapo rais apewe muda wake, aanze kufanya kazi taratibu akishirikiana na bunge la taifa na bunge la seneti ili na serikali ya kaunti, ili tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba tumekwamua taifa hili mahala ambapo tumeachwa. Yangu ni hayo tu, Mheshimiwa Spika. Pia nataka kutoa kongole kwa kusema kukupongeza wewe binafsi na Spika kwa kuweza kuchaguliwa, na tunatumai mtatuongoza katika njia salama na kuhakikisha kwamba sheria zimetungwa na ni sheria za wananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Asante sana, na Wakenya wote nasema Mungu awabariki.
Thank you. I now call member for Kangema constituency, who will be followed by member for Embu County.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Mine, first of all, is to thank my God who has made me to be in this house. Secondly, I want to thank the Kangema people who made me to be their MP. And also I thank His Excellency, the President of this Republic, who has been elected as the President and a good friend of us, and also a supporter for us, and his deputy. We also want to thank the Speaker for this Assembly, who have been very supportive, and also you, Madam Speaker, being elected as a Deputy Speaker. Mine, first of all, is to say that His Excellency the President's speech was excellent. As it has been said, it was short, but it had the real content that it was needed. And I want to put it clearly that, as the President did put it, that the campaign was about ideas. I want to put the record straight, mostly for us from Central Province, is that it was not about a tribe. It was not about ethnicity. It was about ideologies that the UDA and also Kenya Kwanza came with. One thing I want to put clear is that, Madam Speaker, I've been in politics at the lower level. Between 2007, I was a councillor, 2013, 2017, an MCA, and I think the aspect of bottom up, and the ideology of Hasra is an ideology resonated with our people. And I want to put it that in the term for Kibaki 2007-2013, the aspect of Vision 2030 was very critical, whereby in every department, even in our institutions as councillors and local authorities, our management and our budgets were based on Vision 2030. And we worked along the Millennium Development Goals, which we had to achieve by 2015. And I think the government picked up the issue of, from where Kibaki left. And I want to put, as the one member did put that about the tribes, there is nothing to do with the two tribes. The Vision 2030 has the aspects of political, and the aspects of political verbatim is, Madam Speaker, I can read. It says that the political pillar of Vision 2030 is democratic political system that is issue-based, people-centered, result-oriented, and accountable to the public. Therefore, I think as parties and political parties, we must 100% deviate from the tribal aspect. Then nobody write to somebody that will bring your tribe. Let somebody come with ideologies and issues that are there to change the economy of this country. Madam Speaker, the President talked a lot about agriculture, whereby my county and my constituency is about agriculture. I want to thank the President because today he acted on the same, on issues to do with agriculture, as he launched today a container for tea that was going to Ghana. This is at the African Continental Free Trade Area. And I want to say that these are the ideologies that made our people to support the agenda that was sold by Kenya Kwanza. Like today, the issue of marketing tea is very critical for a tea farmer. Whenever a government says that it will walk the talk and to see how tea farmers will be able to make a kill on their business, everybody will run on that ideology. I thank His Excellency the President. Today, our tea will be going to Ghana, and today he said that he's going to work on the issue of value addition to move it from 5% to 50%, and whereby I have seen him doing it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are going to support His Excellency the President on issue of agriculture. We support him whenever you bring issues on value addition, because tea being a very great foreign income earner, whenever the President says that he will be able to put the issues value addition mostly on orthodox tea, when the government puts money on it, it will resonate whenever a government improves on foreign earning. Madam Speaker, I want to talk about whatever he talked about the issue to do with government working on how we'll be able to reduce so that in our income, keeping the recurrent expenditure below the revenue. That's a move, Madam Speaker, we support. We have many projects which are going, like Mau Mau Road. Mau Mau Road, Madam Speaker, is a project that everybody wants to see it done. Therefore, as the President put it, we support him 100% to see that the issue of recurrent doesn't supersede the issue of development. Madam Speaker, I want to talk about the issue of PPP on water. The issue of public-private partnership on water. Madam Speaker, the issue is well thought, because we don't need to say, we cannot mean also that in our budget allocation we will not have budgets on water. But whenever we have big dams, we have Karemenu, which is ongoing. We have Vuake, which is ongoing. We have Kemarero, which was stopped politically, but I think everybody wants to see it be done. But whenever we put billions, like 10 billion, 20 billions on those projects, the most important thing in our budget, the local budget for the country, is to do on distribution. But now the PPP we will be doing on major projects like dam. We need a Maragua Dam in Moranga, whereby we can be able to supply the residents of Moranga with water, as well as the residents of Nairobi. We need also to work on the treatment of the water treatment, that is the Dadora, as people say, Rwai, because most of the waters that come to Nairobi, like now we are adding around 140 cubic liters of water to Nairobi. 50% of that water has to be treated as it joins now to Vuake Dam. Therefore, Madam Speaker, as I support, I say that the President's speech was well thought. We support him 100%, and we are going to work with him to see how we'll be able to build up our country and to see how, as a party, Kenya Kwanza, we'll move now with the ideologies, and Kenyans, we must move from the politics of ethnicity. Let's move to politics of ideologies, and we'll be one Kenya, and we'll be able to build our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the people of Kagema again, and I will serve them with all my effort, with all my diligence. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Embu County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to address this House for the first time, being an elected member of Embu County as a woman representative. I also want to thank you for this opportunity that we are here today, even to be given an opportunity to give our maiden speech. I also want to congratulate our Speaker in absentia and say that indeed this was overwhelming to us, and we congratulate you and him, and we know that you are going to take us very far. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate our President and the Deputy President, even for the way they were elected during the already concluded elections, during the elections in August, the 9th of August. And we have the confidence that indeed they are going to deliver the promises that they promised to the Kenyans. And we are here to support him fully with all his agenda. I also want to thank God for what he has done for me in my life. I thank him for his faithfulness this far, and even the opportunity to be here and to be elected by the community of Embu. It has taken the hand of God. Indeed, Madam Speaker, allow me also to thank the people of the cloth, that is the church ministers who stood with me throughout the campaign period, praying for me, and also giving me an opportunity even to be with them in their churches. As I continue, Madam Speaker, it feels good also to remember to thank my family members who stood with me and also supported me during the said campaign period, and also thank my team, my campaign teams and coordinators in all the 4 sub-counties in Embu who supported me fully. We are talking about the sub-county of Manyata, sub-county of Ronyenjes, sub-county of Bere North and Bere South, and I can only say thank you to them. Still, Madam Speaker, I can only wish my parents were alive to enjoy the victory that I got, but whatever they are, I know they are cheering me on and saying, well done, my daughter. Madam Speaker, as I thank the people of Embu for electing me to serve them in the capacity of a county MP with overwhelming votes, indeed, when they said double N mapema mapema, they truly meant it, and they woke up early in the morning and they gave me over 141,000 votes, being the person who was leading in the county votes in Embu. And so I really thank them from the bottom of my heart. May God bless them, may God keep them, may God give them the energy even to continue with the same spirit. Madam Speaker, also allow me to congratulate the President for his wonderful speech, which was brief, credible, and well articulated. About the President's speech, the reduction of VAT risers from 6,500 to 3,500, this was a dream come true for our farmers, and we can only thank him for what he did. Although the process of acquiring the same is a bit cumbersome, like in Embu we have only 2 depots, in Embu town and in Ishiara, we can only have good manners to say thank you. For when the good things are done to us, we can only appreciate and hope for the best. As I continue, Madam Speaker, with the President's speech and reactions, I want to support him for what he said about the Hustlers Fund, where about 50 billion will be given to the Hustlers Fund so that indeed the common mwananchi, the border, the mama boga can be able to access that fund, where micro, small and medium enterprises will access affordable credit to start and also expand their business. So I thank him for that, and I fully support him. Madam Speaker, due to cultural, to the current drought existing in the country and especially in Embu, I can only plead with the government that even as they distribute food relief to the other counties, Embu should not be left alone, because some parts of Bere North, some parts of Bere South are really in need of relief food. So when this food is being distributed, I am praying that indeed the Embu County people will not be forgotten. As I conclude, I want to say that the issue of the elderly in Embu County, and I believe also across the county, is an issue because the money that they are paid monthly, the 2,000 shillings, sometimes it takes so long for them to get this amount. Number 2, they go for long distances to collect this money. And even when it comes to the issue of registration, they move from very long distances to go for registration. In the past, we experienced over 15 people from the same village who perished in a road accident when they were moving from a place called Mumenje in Bere North, coming all the way to Chicago for registration. So we are pleading that indeed this exercise may be made easier for the elderly so that they can be able to access these services without a lot of problems. Otherwise, I didn't want to thank all of you. I also want to thank the people of Embu, and promise them that the matters registration, matters representation will be done thoroughly in this house, and I will represent them fully without fear and without any malice. May God bless Kenya. May God bless all of us. May God bless the Embu County people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, member for Embu. I think you're the silver medalist for the brevity and impact. And now we shall have the member for Voi constituency, who will then be followed by member for Kajiado County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I take this opportunity to thank Almighty God and the great people of Voi for electing me to serve them as the MP in this parliament. Madam Speaker, I thank the electorate in Kaloleni, Mbololo, Ngalia, Sagala, Maungu, and Kasera wards in Voi constituency. Madam Speaker, this journey for me has been a long one. I first attempted to come into this house to serve the people of Voi a quarter of a century ago. 25 years, 4 failed attempts, and by the grace of God, I managed to get elected to serve them in this 13th parliament. I take that responsibility with a lot of humility and seriousness it deserves. Let me take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to congratulate you for being elected in that position and for our able Speaker. We look forward, being very experienced legislators and leaders, to provide leadership so that this 13th Parliament, especially the National Assembly, can serve the great people of Kenya. Madam Speaker, I joined this Parliament at a time of very many challenges in Voi constituency, and I believe in many other parts of this great country. The issues include a long drought and attendant problems, notably in my area, the wildlife menace, lack of water and grazing, and food insecurity. The effects of this drought, if not addressed in good time, will lead to conflict and insecurity. In Voi constituency, like in many parts of the coast region, land remains an emotive issue. The squatter problem is enormous, lack of titles in many areas, in Voi like Maweni, Mwakingali, Birikani, Tanzania, Msambweni, Kariakoo villages, and after 59 years of independence, this situation is unacceptable. The continued harassment of squatters, so-called, living in the ancestral lands in Mnaoni, Ndovuni, Msambweni, cannot be allowed to continue. I intend to follow up on these issues. Madam Speaker, the KWS, through the Tsavo National Park, occupies 62% of Taita Taveta County. That is a great contribution by the people of Taita Taveta, and we cannot see the return value by us giving that to this nation and to humanity. KWS needs and is required to be innovative. The ranchers and conservancies around get paid millions of shillings in carbon credits. While we are not aware whether KWS is paid or not, but if they are paid, then they are shortchanging the people of Voi and Taita Taveta constituency. If they are not paid, then we would ask why, what are they doing? We expect them to get paid so that compensations from animal and wildlife managers can be paid in a timely manner. But at the same time, I take this opportunity to thank them for releasing 200 million, around 200 million yesterday, after a number of leaders visited the headquarters, and we believe this might be a sign coming in from the incoming administration. On the president's speech, it was, in my opinion, short, precise, and gave a lot of hope. What is required now is the modalities for implementation, which we believe will be brought to this House for deliberation and approval or otherwise. The promised allocation of 50 billion for Hustlers funds is being awaited with a lot of anxiety and hope. The expectation is that this fund will complement the good work of other devolved funds like UWEZO, the Youth Fund, the Enterprise Fund, but not a ploy to replace them in one form or the other. The people out there are expecting additional funds in the form of Hustlers funds. Madam Speaker, there is great concern at the grassroots on the status of the NGCDF. There appears to be lack of clarity on its status following pronouncements by the courts, and this is a matter that requires to be resolved, and I fully support the petition that has been brought around by other colleagues so that this matter can be resolved in a timely manner and we start working and supporting activities in the field, and especially those children who are still out lacking fees in schools. However, the commitment by the President in paragraph 49 and 50 of his speech gives a lot of hope that this CDF will continue, and I believe it will get the necessary support from members of this National Assembly. Finally, Madam Speaker, I affirm from the floor of this House that I will diligently serve the people of Voi, which is very cosmopolitan, and by extension, this great nation, without fear or favor, in the benefit all Kenyans at large through my deliberations in this National Assembly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kajiado County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And just to say, we will be followed by member for Tangoren and then member for Sotik. And if there is any time, member for Bureti.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Honorable Lea Sankare, a county member of the National Assembly from Kajiado. Before I make my contribution to the President's speech, I would like to make my maiden speech, since this is my first time to speak in the floor of this House, and so I will go ahead. I will also make it short, just like the President's speech, precise and to the point. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Almighty God for the gift of life gift of family, and most of the gift to represent the great people of Kajiado County in the 13th Parliament. Like my colleague from Kajiado North, I was also a nominated member of the County Assembly, the first assembly of Kajiado, and that makes me a true model of the bottom up. Secondly, I would like to thank my family, friends, and the people of Kajiado County from the 5 constituencies, namely Kajiado West, Kajiado North, Kajiado East, Kajiado South, and Kajiado Central, for greatly trusting me, enabling me to come here and represent them. I am humbled by the trust that you have bestowed upon me, amidst other worthy competitors, to represent you in this 13th Parliament. I am forever indebted, and I promise that I will do my best in representing you by always raising and seeking solutions to the issues that affect us directly or indirectly as a community in this house. I promise that I will do my best with the help of God. I'm happy that all the promises that we made to the great people of Kajiado County during the grueling campaigns are all captured in the President's speech. And today, I stand tall, contented with the administration that I wholeheartedly and passionately supported. And as the good book, the Bible, puts it, truly, our expectations have not been cut off. I therefore want to kindly request you that we walk this journey together, patiently, knowing that you are my business and my reason for me being here. And this I will not forget. Finally, fondly remembering our campaign slogan, Kule Tutafika, by the grace of God, we have made it here. And today, I embark on a new slogan that we will deliver. This will act as a constant reminder every morning that I have an obligation and a duty to perform to the great people of Kajiado County. With this, I thank you so much and looking forward to 5 years of proper representation, engagement, enhancement of livelihoods through various projects that I will embark on. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, and the Speaker of this House for being duly elected to lead us in this 13th Parliament. I would like to make my contribution to the presidential address. And first, I would like to comment on point number 4. And the point number 4 that says it's another milestone in the election of women legislators elected into single-member constituencies. It is in this spirit that we have seen the highest number of nominees to cabinet position, noting with pride that most of them, if not all, served as women representative or county MPs in the previous parliaments. On my behalf and on behalf of the people of Kajiado County, I take this opportunity to congratulate all women nominees and also our very own Honorable Soipan Tuya. This will be the first Maasai woman nominee to ever hold the office of the Cabinet Secretary from our community since independence. This is a milestone, not only to the Ma girl child, but to the entire community. This has elevated our spirits and confidence to this administration. And we are happy that our girls have role models to look up to. As the women of Kenya, we are glad that ceilings are being broken every day. Congratulations to the women. Point number 24 says that we have an obligation to redeem our plate to our small traders, the hawkers, the mamamboga, the kinyozi, makanga, and altwesha, as we commonly call them back home. This was our campaign selling line, and it did us a great deal in being elected to these current positions that we hold. I am happy that it was not only a narrative, but His Excellency the President is committed to walking the talk. This will see our youth, our women, and all the people greatly gaining from this initiative. Number 28, point number 28 is the allocation of the Hustlers Fund. I am grateful that this is captured in His Excellency's speech, and I look forward that the 13th Parliament will support His Excellency the President by enacting legislation on the administration of the fund, giving consideration to the county women MPs in administering the fund. Since our fund, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, is so minimal, yet the Hustler Fund targets similar groups of people as the ones that we also target in our fund. And I hope that the men, our counterpart, the men, honorable members, men in this house, will join hands with us, because we are not competing, we are just complementing each other's job. And because they get a big share of the CDF fund, I hope they will be kind enough, as His Excellency the President put it, to hold our hands and complement our job, but also making sure that part of this fund is administered through the Women Representatives Kitty. Number 48, which will be my last point, is on the ongoing drought. We are grateful for the relief supplies, but we need to look for a lasting solution on mitigation and adaptation of climate change. And I'm happy that Honorable Soipan Tuya has been nominated to that docket upon approval. Our hopes are high that she will deliver on the lasting solutions, because this has been something that has affected our community greatly, and we look forward for lasting solutions to this. With this, Madam Speaker, I thank you so much. I look forward to a robust assembly, to good engagements in this House, also protect us from senior members so that we can have equal opportunities in contribution in the distribution of committees, because we are all here as representatives of the people, and I know the men here are kind enough to hold our hands and teach us the way. Thank you, Madam Speaker. With your kind counsel, we look up to you. You are an inspiration to the women of this country. You are an inspiration to us here as the women parliamentarians, and I thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Member for Kajiado, for those very kind words. I'm humbled. And now I call upon Member for Tongaren.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to thank the people of Tongaren for electing me overwhelmingly and giving me another, the first opportunity to serve in this House. I'm so grateful to them for this occasion. I would like to go straight to the President's address, and in his address, His Excellency the President alluded on the National Housing Plan as a remedy to affordable housing in our country. And as you know, affordable housing in this country may contribute and is going to contribute to the image and really dignity of our people as captured in Article 28 of our Constitution. Madam Speaker, I would like to link the National Housing Plan to the role of TVET. And records from the TVET department indicate that there are, last year alone, 86,000 students graduated from various technical training institutes in the country. That's a huge number of students, Madam Speaker, out of which 95% of those graduates did not get any employment. That is a very huge number. In Tongaren alone, last year there were 600 students who graduated from different technical training institutes. And in the last 3 years, we've had about 3,500 graduates in Tongaren alone graduating from various technical training institutes. And most of these have not had access to employment. And therefore, for many years, we've had a delinkage from between the trainees in the TVET sector and the industry. I want to think that the proposal by His Excellency the President will be the answer we've been waiting for, so that technical training institute trainees will then provide manpower that is required in the National Housing Program. And therefore, this will solve the unemployment that we are now seeing in the entire country. Madam Speaker, there are over 1 million young people in the country who trained themselves without having gone to class in terms of masonry, carpentry, plumbing, electrical works, and others, without having stepped in class. The TVET department has come up with a program called Prior Learning Program in order to get these people, these students who did not pass through school, but trained themselves to get certificates so that they can be competitive in terms of competing for tender and also earning their life in such a way that you know they can also support their family. And therefore, Madam Speaker, the housing program together is going to solve a very big problem in as far as TVET is concerned. Most of the TVET institutes in Kenya have a lot of machines that are lying idle. And I've been the secretary in charge of TVET in the office of the deputy president, the president who is now currently the president, and we did a lot of statistics. And there are so many machines lying idle in so many of these institutions. And therefore, if this housing program will take off, I am sure that it will solve one of the biggest problems that we have been experiencing. In the area of education, which also His Excellency touched on, in my constituency, we have 130 primary schools and 53 secondary schools, with both secondary schools and primary have a total of around 80,000 students. Half of these students are not having access to education in a proper manner because each day they are on the road because they have been sent to look for fees. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Education is supposed to be releasing 22,000 shillings per student per year in terms of capitation. This money has been split so much by the Ministry of Education in terms of capitation, so that by the time the money is sent to the school, each student gets less than 10,000 from the 22,000. Madam Speaker, the incoming Minister for Education must address this. And the second aspect of this issue is that this money is not released on time. The students take up to even 4-5 months before getting this money. For example, for the last 3 months, it is until last week that funding in terms of capitation was released to schools. And this is affecting education. And therefore, CDF has a complementary role to play in the area of education in terms of complementing capitation from the national government. As you are aware, or you may be aware, Madam Speaker, 35% of CDF goes directly to bursaries. And then the remaining goes into construction and other activities. Now, as we are seated here, students are not going to school because they don't have fees. I am appealing to my colleague and of course to His Excellency the President to help us so that CDF will go back to the normal continuity of the CDF programs so that students can go back to school. There has been a misrepresentation of this CDF issue for many people to think that it goes into pockets of the MPs. CDF goes directly to education because it's a conditional grant from the government of Kenya. Finally, Madam Speaker, His Excellency also touched on the health coverage. In Tongaren constituency, each day we lose between 2 and 4 people, each day. This should be classified as a high mortality constituency. And every week in the entire constituency, we are burying about 5 to 10 people. I think that the universal health coverage, as touched by the President, is a solution to providing affordable medical care and preventive medical program to our people. Madam Speaker, I want to stop there because quite a number of my colleagues have not spoken and they're first-time MPs like myself. But I want to support the proposals by the President, especially on education, especially CDF, support him on the program of health and on the national housing program. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and congratulations for your election, as well as the Speaker, Asante sana.
Member for Sotik.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to also contribute on this very important motion. My name is Francis Sigay, MB Sotik. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank the people of Sotik, the very humble and wonderful people of Sotik who made a decision to elect me as the MP. Madam Speaker, as my colleague from Voi said, my journey has been very long, winding, and treacherous. And I thank God that I am able to come to this house. I have arrived. Madam Speaker, I have done this thing for 5 times. And this is the 5th time. And I thank our Almighty God for giving me the opportunity. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to people of Sotik. I'm grateful for people of Kipsonoi, Jemagel, Kabletundo, Ndana Abosiwad, and Rongana Manarit. I have special tribute to my family, who have stood with me for all these 5 times I've stood. Madam Speaker, it is not easy. But I'm here, and I thank God. Madam Speaker, I want to thank my campaign team for making it possible for me to come here. Once again, I want to thank the President of this Republic and thank him for making it as a hustler. Madam Speaker, you know, these 2 people in the highest office now have a unique history. Dr. William Ruto was a chicken seller. His Excellency the Deputy President was a Mau Mau child. And Madam Speaker, I want to say that I'm happy. I'm going to be a classic example of people who have worked for so many years and made it. I want to thank the President and the Deputy President because Honorable Mr. Kachagwa has come from the same historical background with me. He was in the administration, and it has come to show that anybody who has worked in national government can make it to the national level. Madam Speaker, I want to mention that Dr. William Somairut is the 5th president, and I am the 5th MP of Sotik. So we are both 5th. And I have tried 5 times, so it's 5-5-5. So I want to say thank you, and I want to contribute on the speech of the President. Is it over? I want to contribute on very few issues because I'm glad that I'm here. Number 1, I want to mention the issue of agriculture. Madam Speaker, if there is anything in this country which a government which values the people is to invest in agriculture. Agriculture is the cure of 2 things: food security, and number 2, on the issue of that situation in the country. Because I know if you can remove the money which you used to buy and import food, will reduce the public debt. Madam Speaker, I think because of time, I want to thank you. I want to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for getting it to be the Deputy Speaker. You're a great lady from our area. I want to congratulate Mheshimiwa Speaker Moses Wetangula. He has worked with me. I know him, and I know what he can do. And both of you can deliver in this country. Thank you so much, and I want to thank you for this day. Thank you. Close.
Thank you, honorable members, for those very fruitful and exciting deliberations and discussions and ideas. And the time being 8 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Thursday, the 6th of October, 2022 at 2:30 p.m.